Hello and welcome to this session of kombucha tea making by Remedy. Today I'm going to show you how easy it is to make kombucha tea, and I'm going to try and keep it as simple as I can. So let me just explain to you, if you haven't been familiar with the terminologies that we use in kombucha tea making, I will explain to you a few things. So you've probably heard of the word SCOBY. Now SCOBY is symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. It's just an acronym for that. So what is kombucha tea? Now I'm going to read you a little bit out of this book, not very much, just a little bit. And this is a book that says Kombucha the Miracle Fungus. So in this book it says kombucha tea. Kombucha is the living relationship of a number of bacteria and special yeast cultures. So there's a symbiosis happening there. This living organism ferments the sweetened tea to become the kombucha beverage. The refreshing taste gives one a feeling of well-being. The amount of living yeast gives the kombucha beverage an active life which continues after decanting into the bottles. Kombucha is highly regarded as an aid in the prevention of almost all illnesses. So there you have it. This is a very nice little book. And you could also do your own research on the internet by just googling the health benefits of kombucha tea. So you've probably have maybe tried making kombucha tea before, or you may have just recently purchased one of our kits. Now this is the kombucha tea making kit that I've put together here at Remedy, and in it you get the right amount of sugar and tea, and the instructions here to help you make your first batch of kombucha tea. So in this kit that you may have just recently purchased, you would also have received a 200 ml bottle of the kombucha starter fluid and the 200 ml bottle of the SCOBY, which is the symbiotic culture of bacteria and yeast. Now in here, if you can see there closely, I have grown quite a few SCOBYs in there. So that's going to get you going. And in here, I've just made sure that I've given you a good amount of very strong fluid. Now these particles in the bottom here, don't be worried about that. That's just part of the culture that's going to now ferment the tea. And they're just excess yeast that's growing in there. So what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to show you the various containers that you can make it in. So years ago when I first started, I had this vessel here, which we affectionately name Big Mouth, because it's got such a big opening. And I'm going to now show you what the SCOBY on here looks like. I have actually taken some of the fluid off here and bottled it into some of the bottles, so I'm going to make some more tea up in this vessel later on today. But I'll just show you what this looks like. As you can see here, there's two SCOBYs here. This one was the one that was on top of the tea before, and I put that back in, and then it's grown this new one on top this time. So every time I set this tea, it will grow another one of these SCOBYs. So now what will happen, that eventually you'll get more and more of these SCOBYs. So the best thing then is to keep them in a hotel. Now this is a SCOBY hotel, and in here I have many old SCOBYs. There's nothing wrong with them. but you're going to use your new one on every consecutive brew because you're going to use the most healthy one. So you can then put the older ones in here, as long as you keep some fluid on here and keep them immersed in the tea solution itself. Now you can use just your old starter fluids, or you can just feed it with sweet tea, as long as it doesn't run out of fluid. And the best place to keep it is probably in the fridge, just with the cloth on so that it can breathe. And as you can see on this one, I just keep it topped up, and then it keeps growing on top of in the jar here, another SCOBY on top. Every time I put more fluid on there, it will grow another one on there. It's a lot of fun growing these SCOBYs, and what you can do with your anyone that's interested, your friends and family, you can then give them a SCOBY and some fluid out of here, out of your hotel, and get them going as well. So whether you've got a big jar like this, or whether you go and purchase a jar like this one, this is what I would recommend, one like this, because you want to see what's going on. It's okay if you want to buy a ceramic one, because ceramic's good too, but because you can't see through it, you're only going to have to look in the top then. But it's good for the family and friends who are interested to be able to see what's going on. And as you can see here, there's the old SCOBY there, and then this new one has grown on top. Now this particular brew is nearly ready to bottle, and how I do that is, after about 10 days of just sitting there like this by itself, fermenting, I just go along after the 10th day and just start testing it every day to taste it and to see if it's nearly ready. And that's still a little bit sweet. You want it just as it turns. And that's normally in the summer months, between 12 to 14 days, and in the winter months can take up to 4 weeks. So depending on where you've got it sitting, you know, in the winter months keep it in the kitchen or somewhere where it's a bit warmer. But I will bottle that in a couple of days from now, and I know that that's still a little bit too sweet. So there you have it. Now I'm going to put this one away. So you don't have to use one with a tap, but it is easier with a tap, because when you're bottling it, it doesn't stir it up, where if you were bottling it out of here, you would have to use a jug and then push down to get your fluid out and then put it into bottles like that. So it is better if you get one with a tap. So let's put this one away now, and I'll fix this one up later on. So let's get back to our kit. This is the kit that you would have purchased. Now when we bottled it, this is how I put it into the litre bottle. This is a 750ml bottle, and this is a 375ml bottle, but you can bottle it in anything. You can use any kind of jar or thing at home that you can actually get it in and seal it. So once it's bottled, you seal it, and then it slows down the fermentation. It will still ferment a little bit in the bottles, but not as fast as it will when it's breathing when the top's off. And then you can put that in the fridge and have nice cold kombucha out of the fridge. So with the kit, now what happens, I'm going to make one up for you now. So this is your kit, and in there the recipe is for every 1 litre of water, boiling water, it's 1/4 cup of sugar, which is 50 grams of sugar, and that's the minimum you can use to make kombucha. So if you want to use the minimum amount of sugar, 50 grams is the minimum, otherwise the culture will die. It needs that to feed on. So it's feeding on the sugar and on the nutrients that are coming out of the tea leaves. So because this is now a 2 litre jar, we are going to put twice that recipe in. So we're going to put 1/4 cup, 1/4 cup for the 2 litres, and tea. I use black tea, organic black tea, and you can use green tea, and there is other ways to use other teas, but that's going to be in another session. So we'll do that another time. But today we're using the organic black tea. So for 1 litre we would use 2 bags. So I always tear the little tags off because you don't want that dye from the print going into your brew. That's for 1 litre. That's for 2 litres. Now what I'm going to do now, because I'm not 100% sure whether this will take boiling water, I'm going to put that in the jug. I think you're better off just doing it in a jug. Use plastic or wood with the utensils, don't use steel. Kombucha doesn't like steel. But let's say we're just going to do it in this jug first. So I've just boiled the jug over here. And then it's just as if you're making a big cup of black tea. So we're just going to put 2 litres of boiling water in there. And stir that up. Now these tea bags don't have to stay in here any longer than you would leave them in for when you're making a normal cup of tea. Because the longer you leave the tea bags in there, the more bitter it will become. So I normally just leave them in there. Look, sometimes they're only in there for a minute or 2. But I've been called away to a telephone call sometimes and they've been in there up to 5 minutes or so, and that's okay too. And just get your wooden spoon like that and grab them out of there. Now I'm just going to sit that over here because I'm going to let that cool down in that jug before I pour it in here, because like I said before, I'm not 100% sure whether this will take the boiling water. But here's one we prepared earlier. So what I've done now before, I did exactly the same thing, and then I've tipped that into that. Now you wouldn't think that that is exactly the same amount as that, but it is, which is good because we now need this space to put this and this in from your kit. Now this is cooled down enough. It only has to be cool enough for you to be able to put your finger in and you go, oh yeah, that's alright. If you can't put your finger in there, then that's too hot and it will kill the, or it could kill the culture. So as long as you can put your finger in there, that's okay. So now what we're going to do is, I recommend that you use both of these jars that I've given you in that kit now into this. Now that may be a little bit too powerful, but I'd rather you have the success the first time by it being a bit too strong. And the general rule is 10%. So in a 2 litre jar you would need at least 200 ml of the starter fluid and a good size SCOBY. So this is 200 ml starter fluid, so we're going to put that in there now. Get the whole jar in. And in here is a little selection of SCOBYs that I've bred and put together for you. I'll just show you because I've got a pair of tweezers here. Just a minute, they're hiding here somewhere. I can just show you. These are some little ones that I've made in here, along with some bigger ones. Whether you use small ones that you've grown or a big one from your hotel, it doesn't really matter, as long as about that amount of SCOBY goes in. Pop that all in there. Nothing to it, is there? So then we're just going to get your wooden spoon. Now your wooden spoons, keep some just for kombucha tea making, because this is discoloured because of the tannin coming out of the tea. But then I just keep them just for kombucha tea making. So give that a good stir like that. You see all the SCOBYs are all swimming around there nicely. Then you're going to use the little cloth I've provided for you in the kit. Pop it on top. Rub a band around here like this. And that's how easy it is to do. Now you're going to put that in your kitchen, maybe on your windowsill or somewhere. Now you don't have to do anything with that now for about 10 days. After about 7 days, you're going to see it will have grown a SCOBY on top. Now it's going to grow quite a nice SCOBY right across the top there. Now the way that you're going to test this is after your 10-day period, you're going to get a little container like this, push down the SCOBY, get a little bit of fluid and just taste it. And if you think it's okay at the 14-day mark, the way to bottle it then is out of this container would be, you would get your finger and push down on the SCOBY and then tip out the fluid, the good kombucha tea now that has fermented, and tip out, leaving about that much in the bottom, remembering you're going to need at least 10% to get yourself started again with the second brew, right? So, but let's say for argument's sake that you want to go from this straight into a big one like this one, which holds between 8 and 10 litres. Now I'm going to tell you a shortcut how to get yourself from this kit into this in 2 goes. You can now leave this, grow a SCOBY on top, don't bottle it in 14 days, maybe let it sit for a month, even 2 months. Do nothing with it, just let it sit, right? And after that period of time, you will have a strong enough brew and enough left over and SCOBYs in here to go straight into this big one. So what you're going to do then, using the recipe of 2 tea bags and 1/4 cup of sugar per litre, you will keep making up your sweet tea brew like this and keep filling a big vessel up like this till you get that far from the top. Let it cool down, and then this kit that you've let go for a month or 2, and it's gone really nice and powerfully strong, it's got a great big SCOBY on top. When it's cool, you'll tip the whole lot in there, which will take it right to the top here, and away you go. Then you've got your great big 10 litre or 8 to 10 litre one going in the second attempt from this small one. And that's how easy it is. And then you can just keep bottling it and just redoing it every time. And all the spare SCOBYs you can store in your hotel. So there it is. It's pretty simple how to make the kombucha tea. But if you have any questions, you can contact us via our website and or our Facebook site. Or if you're interested in coming along to our workshops, we also have the information about our workshops on the website and on the Facebook site. So there you go. Thank you for purchasing this kit, and I wish you a lot of luck with your kombucha tea making. Bye.